This one is why the carnivore diet. What maybe led this to me. I told you in the past I heard Sean Baker talk about it, then Michaela Peterson, and I'd already like looked into the paleo quite a bit. Like basically I went through like Mark Sisson's program for the Primal Health Coach. And now he's onto the keto thing a lot, and that's like the big thing now is the ketogenic. And the paleo seemed like it makes sense. Like we didn't, like all the processed stuff, all that's like, it's obviously that's what's making us sick. And then the keto sounds good from like getting in ketosis, like it's a good healing thing. And like, but the way they do it, like you're eating, avocado and coconut oil, cavemen and primitive paleo, maybe in the tropical areas, but they weren't eating that crap. They weren't dipping chocolate and bacon and coconut cream. You know what I mean? So from that standpoint, like the carnivore diet seems paleo. Seems like what, my ancestors in the winter up in, Scotland or Germany or wherever weren't eating a bunch of fruits and vegetables and avocados and fats from plants. They were eating meat if they were doing good. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that seems to me like maybe primitive man, we can obviously eat plants, but I don't think we thrive on it. That was one of the things from when we started making grains and civilization started, and where the hunter-gatherers kind of like stopped and like primitive society started, and we started doing grain-based in agriculture, our health went down. We got shorter, our bones weren't as dense, our teeth started going bad. Did you know that even like, like when your wisdom teeth don't come in and stuff and you're crowding your teeth, it's because of basically it's like hundreds of years of malnutrition. Like tribes that were studied, there's a dentist back in the day that went to all these different tribes. It's what like gave them good teeth. I can't remember what his name is. But anyways, they all have these wide, bright smiles and good teeth, and all their teeth fit in because that's the way you're supposed to be. And it's like years of basically grain fed that made us have, like, we have these like scrunched faces. So the other thing was like a lot of these people are like their inflammation, all that, their health. They did paleo, they did low carb, and then they did keto, and they had success with those. But some of them still had issues, and then a lot of them that went to carnivore after that had even better results, like more vigorous energy, less inflammation, things like that. And some of them, like the Michaela Peterson said, she's basically always in ketosis, even though she eats meat. And you think you wouldn't be from like when you read about the ketogenic diet from gluconeogenesis, like when you eat too much protein, it basically converts to glucose, your liver. But she said that's not happening because she eats a lot of fat. And that's the one thing with the carnivore diet. It's not like if you think you're going to be eating like lean chicken breasts and things like that and cutting all the fat off your steak, you're not going to do very good. You can't. You need the fat for energy. You need lots of fat. So that's why a lot of people do like ribeye steaks, because there's a lot of fat in them. And red meat seems to be like what a lot of people prefer, but there's people that do it on all kinds of stuff. You eat basically it's just eating meat and eggs and things like that. But a lot of people seem to say that they like gravitate eventually towards just like steak because that's what feels the best. But some people still like chicken and pork and, things like that. I'll probably do all of them, but my main thing will be steaks. I'm trying to make sure I cover everything. Also, it works good as an elimination diet. That was my biggest pet peeve with the paleo. You're still eating all these fruits and vegetables and things like that. And then I'd get like a runny nose or start sneezing, or my mouth would get sores in it. And I was like, what caused that? Was it the bananas I ate? Was it the tomato? Like, you never could narrow it down because you're eating all kinds of stuff. With eating like beef only, no veggies, if you feel good, then you can gradually add stuff back in and you can find out what actually is affecting you. But like, it's a great elimination diet because you're getting basically rid of everything. And another thing they said, like, why people think we're actually carnivores. I mean, we're obviously omnivores because we can tolerate stuff, but I don't think it's good for us. Like, it seems like we have a short digestive tract, which is like carnivores, like chimpanzees and gorillas have a really long. That's why it was the energy trade-off. Is like a lot of times, like to make a bigger brain, you had to have less intestines because your energy has to go to something. And they spent, like gorillas and chimps spend most of their day chewing their food and eating because there's so little energy they get out of what they eat. That's why we think we're designed to eat fat, meat and fat. Like we found a lot of our sites that like mammoths and mastodons, like we would eat those big, huge animals that had lots of fat, and then we could break open the bones and get the marrow. And that's what maybe led us to like actually go above everything else, is because we could get so much energy from what we ate instead of having to sit there and chew your food all day, you know. And what else? Inflammation's a big one. It's supposed to be like people that have like tendinitis, a lot of those things, swelling, arthritis. Michaela Peterson had like rheumatoid arthritis, really like joints replaced when she was young, and that she still has the bad joints, like from where she had to have surgery, but her symptoms, like she's not having any more flare-ups anymore, just eating meat. And she had like weird, any plant she would eat, like she could eat an orange and she'd have 2 weeks of just pain and flare-ups, which seems crazy, like she's allergic to everything but meat. But she might be like the canary in the coal mine as far as, you know, in depression and things like that too. That's one thing I heard, which I'd never heard before, but it makes sense, is plants inherently aren't good for you. And you're saying, like, you're supposed to eat your fruits and vegetables, and that's what I think too. But what I mean by that, by their nature, is plants can't move. Their only defense is what they have inside of them. So almost all plants have like chemicals, insecticides, things like that to make them taste bad, to like kill things, thorns, things like that. So basically, they're made not to be eaten. They're trying not to be eaten, except for their fruits. Like some plants want their fruits eaten. That's how they spread their seeds. Not the seed they don't want eaten, but the fruit. So fruits are probably like, if you're going to eat plants, are the best thing to eat. Except for like, you know, if you eat too much of it. And nowadays we've bred things so much, they're way bigger and more sugar in them than they ever were in the wild. So like berries and things like that are probably like a good thing to eat, but like a huge banana or these huge, you know, peaches and stuff like that, that's not how they were. Apples, they were never, so you never actually got that much of it. You know what I mean? So like that's where we're like, we get way too much sugar, which our body is not meant to handle, the carbohydrates. So what I was saying is, plants are basically poisonous, but we've learned that our body's adapted to tolerate some of them, and we bred some of them to be tolerated more. But I don't think we thrive on them. Like that's obviously a lot. Maybe some people do better than others, but obviously some people, they get rid of all the plants, all their symptoms go away from like their like autoimmune diseases. And it may be, and they said like one doctor was talking about, he went to a class and he's like, you know, we're worried about like antibiotics and carcinogens and meat and all this. And he says like most plants, your typical plant has way more carcinogens in it than any of that stuff. But we don't talk about that. Plants have self-defense mechanisms, and they have thousands of chemicals in all kinds of plants that are bad for us, but we've tolerated it. But what does it actually do inside of us? We don't know. And that's why we don't know what's going on. So, I don't know. I'll get more into that stuff later. But basically, that's like, maybe plants aren't good for us. Maybe that's, I mean, and a lot of the like stuff that is bad, like the vegetable oils and the grains and the corn and the legumes, those are obviously bad, but they're all plants or chemicals derived from plants. So it's still plants. So, I don't know. I'm just thinking about that stuff. So that's why I'm trying to do the carnivore. It just makes a lot of sense. And I'll go into more, like there's many other reasons too, but those are what I have right now. So that's my first little FYI for the day on Why? The carnivore. Thank you.